Hello, world. I was very fortunate recently to attend a preview screening for a new movie called ADRIFT. It's a true story based on true events, a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I captured the Q&A of that evening with the director and one of the main cast members, Sam Claflin. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you go see the movie. Thank you for watching.
If you want to put this live, if you want to record this, please feel free. Take photos. All I'll ask you is no flashes. That'd be great. Thank you very much. Baltasar, let's start with you. It's quite a film. No pun intended, but how did you come on board, and why was this a story you wanted to tell?
Well, firstly, I was blown away by the story of this Tammy Oldham. And when I read it, and also the idea of making a survival story, a woman against nature, which I haven't seen much of, to be honest. So that, and also the idea of, when I made ADRIFT, there was a lot of people on the mountain. It was about a story with too many people on the mountain. So been able to concentrate on two characters and into trying it with a love story was very tempting to me. And then again, I was a competitive sailor when I was a young man, and getting back in on a boat was very exciting to me as well. That's the world I really know.
Sam, did you have your sea legs before all of this?
No, I didn't get them whilst we were filming either, really. I arrived in Fiji. I never had any sailing experience. I've never been sailing. I've been on boats, and I'd only ever been on boats where I could still see land, and this was my first experience at sea. I quickly realised that it wasn't for me. I think that the first time I went sailing in Fiji, I have to sort of say, basically, I was on a crash diet from the second I got to Fiji. I'd been doing a film called The Nightingale with Jennifer Kent just beforehand, and I put on quite a lot of weight for that. So I arrived in Fiji, how would you describe it? Fat. Out of shape. And I think knowing where I needed to get to at the end of this movie, I knew myself, and we kind of had a discussion. I was like, right, I'm planning on getting right to it. So I wasn't eating very much, and I'd set out. I had about 3 or 4 coffees first thing in the morning, and no food, and apparently that's the worst recipe. It's a recipe for disaster on the boat. But yeah, Shailene was literally rubbing my back as I was puking over the back of the boat, and I think that was not only the first time. The first time we, even as a crew, as a film, set out to shoot day one on the open ocean. We were all taking selfies, kind of going, I can't believe our luck, we're shooting in Fiji on the back of a yacht, this is dreamy. Watch the sunrise, it was amazing. And we kind of, about an hour or 2 hours into the day, the first crew member emerged from beneath the decks and was looking pale as a ghost. And beyond him there was another 12 people all hurling, and quickly the people above deck started hurling. And, I think everyone bar Baltasar and Bob Richardson, the cinematographer, threw up. So I think there was a pattern emerging, and I was terrified. But no, that was the worst of it, thank God.
It's an incredibly glamorous life filmmaking, isn't it? I don't think people realise just how much. Just a little bit about the relationship with Shailene in here. I mean, it's an amazing performance from the pair of you. It's an incredible relationship. How much rehearsal went into that? How much time did you rehearse before you got to Fiji, or were you literally just thrown into it together? I mean, Baltasar, how do you go about getting such a great chemistry between your two leads?
Well, it's first of all, it's luck of the draw as well. You hope to find people that will work well together, and you try to, a little bit like a matchmaker. You try to find people that might have that chemistry. I think they hit it off very easily, right off, but also then you try to create circumstances where that can flourish. How you go about, and it might not be very obvious to the actors, but you try to create an atmosphere that you don't stick your head too much in. You allow them, when they find it themselves, to do that, and then pull back and kind of direct it without putting your hands all over it. I think there's a way you can do that. You can be very helpful, but you can also be hurtful if you do it the wrong way. I think, but what I do when I work with actors, I was an actor, or am an actor, originally, and it's very important to me to motivate them. I don't rehearse in the traditional way, okay, let's try this scene. We read it and we talk about it, because I know the worst feeling of an actor coming on set and he's like, okay, let's play the scene. You have no place to come from. And building that kind of understanding where the character is coming from the director to the actor, it's very easy to put you in any circumstances and you will do the scene naturally, as long as you have the motivation. And that's how so I stay mostly by a table and we just discuss and we try the lines and fix them, and if there's something we don't think is right about them, that's what I call rehearsing.
Yeah, there was a lot of flexibility in the writer's eyes, and I think from the very moment I got out of Fiji, myself, Shailene and Bolt, we sat around the table and we went through every scene like word for word and discussed. And then even on the day, there was flexibility to kind of improvise in places where we felt it was necessary. There were certain lines and certain moments that we wanted to land. But really, because me and Shailene, there was such an ease between us and a comfort and an immediate warmth. Like there was never, and I suppose also because we shot 90% of this on the ocean and felt everything for real. There was very little acting required. And for me, I find that I've been very fortunate in my career thus far to have generally kind of got on with everyone I've ever filmed with. But I think when you genuinely care for someone, and I did for Shailene, it's hard not to get to know them. You're forced to like them. I mean, we're going to be on top of each other for 3 months. You have to like them. But it wasn't hard to care for her, and it wasn't hard to cry or to feel when she was crying. I think I find it easy to fall in, pretend to be in love with someone who is easily lovable, basically.
It's interesting you should talk about having the ability to improvise here. When you're telling essentially a true story, how much leeway is there in that? Because obviously you're working from the script, and that's based largely around the story and Tammy's recollections. But how much leeway is there as an actor and as a director to say, okay, well, this doesn't quite work, let's change this, let's move this?
Well, I would say, I would go for integrity. Would be my lead. I think what I mean integrity is integrity to the person you're telling the story about. I mean, this film is first and foremost in the perspective of Tammy. It's told by Tammy. It's based on her accounts. Of course, Richard is not with us anymore, and we try to get our hands on everything we could. We're making a film. We allow us to make a film, but I always like throwing a shark into the story, for example, would be not integrity, just for the excitement of the audience, because there was no shark in the story. Making you feel like there might be a shark around is still in the framework for me, because that's what you feel when you get in the ocean, in the middle of what the heck, what is under me, what's around me. But throwing a little jaws in, just to get a little exciting. It's that cut. That's the line I would say you go over. And the same thing, we moved some things around in the story to make it work. But I think everything, and I went really deeply into her book, and also into the relationship with Tammy. I had a lot of conversation with her, asking her about things, and I might move lines and stuff around. But I really wanted to tell her story, because here's the weird thing. I remember, what's the name of the Hustler guy? It's a bit of the guy who used to run Hustler. And
Flint.
Yeah, Milos Forman, made this film about it, People versus Larry Flint, and I happened to be in LA after I saw the film, and I run into Larry Flint. I said, that guy should be dead, shouldn't he? I already watched the film about him. This is a weird thing. Once you make a film about someone, it kind of overtakes their life in the perspective of people. Suddenly, the film becomes the truth about that person, even if it isn't. So I think it's something I don't take lightly, that if you make a film about someone, I don't want to make obituary, I don't want to make a love letter, but I want to show some decency and have integrity. And by the way, on that note, the story about her hallucinating him is taken from her, because it is something that she talks very deeply about in the book, that she heard his voice, and she says, and I use those articles, which says Richard saved her life. But by not putting that up front and showing that, but kind of allowing you to go into the hallucination with her, is putting you in her perspective. And that's what I'm trying to do throughout the film. Having you as much in Tammy's perspective as possible.
I understand Tammy joined you on set. How useful was it, particularly you, Sam, to speak to her about Richard and to find out more about him? And how close, and Baltasar, for you, I mean, having Tammy on set, I imagine that was a great help. And what's her response been to the movie?
For me, it was terrifying having her on set. Only because I think it's one of those things, when you are portraying a real person, real people, there's always a sort of an added pressure that I think I myself put on myself. You know, I think not that there was any external pressure from anyone to kind of do a good job necessarily, but for me, I didn't want to bring up the past. I didn't want to bring up potentially things that were still, you know, maybe traumatic or ask the wrong question or push too hard. So I basically never reached out to her prior to filming. The reason being, I felt like I had a good feel for him. I felt, when I read the script, I can't begin to describe it. I mean, he explains it the best in this film, in that it's a feeling. It's a feeling, and you can't quite describe it. I think I felt that when I read this script. I felt very akin to him, and there was so many similarities between our personalities. There was an article that Bolt sent me where it explains him building the boat Meyaluga and how he was such a perfectionist and had sort of OCD to a point of kind of perfection. And I think that is something I share with him. There was, naturally we're British, and there was many elements that we share. And when Tammy came out, I remember we sat down for lunch, and she went quiet, and I was telling a story or telling a joke, and she went quiet, got teary-eyed, and someone said, "Are you okay?" She I just can't quite get over it. It's like watching Richard. It's like speaking to Richard. Apparently my gestures, my speech pattern, my accent, my smile, I mean, she says I embodied him in a way that I didn't realise I could without trying too hard. And along the way, I've also now met a few other people who knew him, and all alike have said there's a lot of similarities. So I think the added pressure was only my own thing. And I think the one thing that was always important for me from the beginning was that I was never going to be doing an impression. I was never going to be doing an impersonation of someone. All I ever wanted to do was to embody an essence of him. And knowing that we did that, and knowing that we had her blessing from the beginning, and that she was there and kind of saying that we were doing a good job, and that's all you can ask for, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is a tricky thing, and I've been involved in other times when we are doing true stories, and it can be a curse to get those people on set. It's simply because it's overwhelming for them. Imagine you walk on set and you're watching someone portraying you, and it's just never going to look like you, and it's never going to be the situation you were in, because until the whole thing comes together, it doesn't really make sense. So we were lucky with her, because she showed an understanding. She wasn't thrusting herself in. She did read the script. She gave us comments about it, and we took what we thought was right for the story. And so it was actually a very good collaboration. It wasn't hard. I was nervous about getting her down there, having her 2 weeks. What's he going to do? So we get in the way. And sometimes for the actors, like for Shailene, to have someone watching over your back, like it can be troubling. It can be but it wasn't in her case.
I understand you're quite a physical director. You like to sort of get involved and to be there. I want to ask you about the cliff jump scene, because I understand that wasn't quite as it was meant to be on the day. It was a location you wanted originally, and that then turned out wasn't available because of tides or something.
Yeah, well, it wasn't tide because it's a river. We dealt with the tide in the ocean all the time and the direction of the sun, and but in this case, it was because the river, the rain. You can call maybe it's cold tide, but it hadn't rained for a while, and where we had planned to jump now was too shallow, and therefore we're going up there. It's a huge ordeal. We had to bring in a crane with a helicopter, and we had to river raft down the river and then climb up the cliff. And that took half an hour to raft it down and to go all the way down, where only way you could pick up takes 5 hours. So when we went back home, was to walk up the stream. That took half an hour rafting down, so it took at least an hour with the whole equipment on our backs to walk up the river, holding onto a boat. It was wonderful.
I mean, it's not a day at work. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the adventure of a lifetime. And I
No,
think,
but then we found another spot which was not that threatening, and had them jump that, and also the cameraman with them, you know.
and you.
Yeah, so you jumped as well, right?
Well, yeah, that was only because, you know,
On straight on top of
Shane
Shailene.
insisted on having a jump with her after that. Okay, no, you are. I was like, oh, you know, and then I ended up, you know, jumping right on top of her, almost breaking her. You know, but luckily she managed.
Don't tell the insurance company. So how many times did you do that jump, Sam?
I think 4 in the end. But I mean, for me, the hardest part about it was like pretending I was scared, because I was so excited, especially when I watched Shailene do it and survive. There was a real. The water was so fresh. It was so fresh and like it was slightly cold, but because the weather was so hot, it was just really. It was amazing. It was an amazing day.
But there was a cameraman who had to jump with the camera and also keep him in the frame.
And he had to
his job was
clear
easy.
quite a lot of
He
the
just had to
cliff.
jump.
With the camera in his hand, he had to clear quite a lot of cliff in order to kind of make that shot. So it was a really. I'm so glad you went. I mean, that's the one thing I'll say about Bot is that he won't. He knows what he wants, and he sees these visuals, these certain moments, and he really won't quit until he gets them. And I think what's amazing is that everyone else shares that visual. And it's just a matter of problem solving, and I think what is so great is that you have a man who has so much desire and passion, and sees the things that seem impossible at times. Like there were certain things that we needed to do with the boat, and certain shots we were doing with helicopters, and there was the racing scene with the helicopter like right on top of me and Shailene. Shailene was at the helm and was genuinely petrified that she was going to get my head blown, like cut off by the blades of the helicopter. But it was so exhilarating. The adrenaline was so high. There's so many moments in this film, and that's because he kept pushing us to make us feel like, you know, that every given moment was special.
So much of this film was shot out on the ocean, and a fair way out on the ocean. Obviously, you need clear horizons. You need nothing there. What were the biggest challenges for you, and what was sort of the learning curve like when you got out there onto the ocean and started?
Well, I wanted the water to be of red color for you know, if you're too close to the coast. These are things that people don't think about. It's going to be too light blue, and you're going to feel it's shallow. There's a lot of reefs there, so you have to get outside the reefs, and then far enough also so you can control the directions where you're shooting in, because you're going to have the land in every other frame, because the sun is not going to be where you want it to be, and the wind is not blowing the direction is most easy for you. So all these elements, the further we go from land, and then the swells get bigger, you know, the more freedom you have to shoot, but that's also more ordeal getting there and getting back. So often we started sailing, or we maybe start shooting, and kept shooting the same scene in the same direction. So we were maybe 12 miles out, certainly, way out there. And oh, we gotta pull you back, you know, and nobody wanted that. So it was. I sometimes took 2 hours on a speedboat to get back, you know, from the shooting. You know, we worked 14 hours a day, 6 weeks on the water. So the day that he started telling you about, well, you know, when they all take things up, he's very happy, and then cut to, you know, throwing of the guts up. That's when the filming started to me. Like, okay, now it's real. Let's start making a film. You know, this is not a holiday, you know, like a vacation in Fiji. It's actually we're working here. So and that from there we had 6 weeks of 14-hour days to do that. But it's for a reason, and it's to create a baseline for me, both visually and also for the actors. You know, to draw from. One of the main actors in the film is Mother Nature, right? Let's give her a fair chance, you know, portraying herself in the most glorifying way, you know. And then once we've done that baseline, like I did in everything in many ways, you go to a studio and you enhance things because you don't want to put anyone, even though he makes it sound like I'm a daredevil, it's not the case. I don't want to put anyone in harm's way, you know. And so all the things that are impossible to do, we do on stage, you know. But then you have the baseline to connect it to, you know. And I feel sometimes like Hollywood films tend to start that baseline in some place where it's not connected to reality, and all the hair of everyone is unrealistic, and everyone is very well calmed, and you know there's no dirt on the costumes and stuff like that. So I think that's where I really strive to do this. whether people appreciate it or not, that's I come from that kind of a background of filmmaking, and even though my films are getting bigger, I really want to hold on to that. Yeah.
I mean, for you, did you have to? I guess were you used in a fairly sort of skeleton crew? Was this a fairly stripped back production for you? I guess just logistically on a set, you can have those people around. If you need to be transporting people and equipment out to a boat 12 miles from.
Second day of shooting on the boat was a skeleton crew. Let's put it that way. There was not as much excitement being on the boat the second day as the first. It was a bigger crew. So yeah, but we try to keep it. Of course, there's a lot of support and support boards and security and all that, which I'm not used to in my country. We don't have insurances and all that stuff. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So, but you have to take that into account. So we had that, but I tried to keep it. And I love the fact the boat gave us kind of what I wanted. There's no hierarchy anymore. You have the space of your own butt. That's it. Everyone has the same, depending on the size of it, this space on that boat. It doesn't matter what department you gotta figure it out. You just gotta sit in a corner with a monitor. You're a Hollywood director, or whatever it is.
There was no trailer to go to in between takes. There was no escape. And no matter what department you were, everyone was chipping in to help one another. It's you have to, because equipment's coming over you. No matter where you sit, you're sort of you're part of a chain and handing equipment over. And so everyone was part of the camera department. Everyone was part of the costume department. Everyone was part of the catering department. And it was great. It made it all the more special, I think.
We're almost out of time, unfortunately. But just a final thought from you. What do you hope people are going to take away from this film once they've seen it?
Well, I hope to take away, this incredible ordeal and this woman, endured, and managed to do. And also, I think real power comes from within. It's not your muscles. It's not a gender. It's what you have inside of you, deep in the core. And I love that films like that strip you down to the essentials. And then there's love.
Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank our guest, Baltasar Kormáker.